What's up and welcome back to the channel. You were listening to Ninja Knight. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell up above for future uploads. Check out the links posted in the description down below to support the channel and consider joining the channel today. Thank you. So before I get into the Raheem Sterling dive, which I think he should go to the Olympics for England, because I think that was a 9.5 out of 10 in terms of the dive that he gave for England tonight and got a very suspect penalty out of it. This is something that was in the lead up to that dive, and as we can see here, there are two footballs on the pitch in the path of play of Raheem Sterling and the Danish players. Now, just going on the laws of the game within itself, here is what the law says. It says, if an extra ball, other object or animal enters the field of play during the match, the referee must stop the match only if it interferes with play. Play must be restarted by a drop ball from the position of the match ball when play was stopped, unless play was stopped inside the goal area, in which case the referee drops the ball on the goal area line parallel to the goal line at the point nearest to where the ball was located when play was stopped. Now, I remember back in the day when Jeff Hendrick kicked a ball out of play that was actually a second ball on the pitch against Belgium, and he actually received a yellow card for it because the referee didn't quite know the rule of the game, and in fact Jeff actually did the right thing. But what we're seeing here is, going on this image, is you see three Danish players now that are looking at this incident occurring in front of them. You're seeing a Danish player that is chasing after Sterling, and you see two balls that are in front of them there quite close together. Now, in my opinion and my interpretation, this is interfering with the play, because there are three players here that don't know which ball is going to be kicked because they're on the retreat, and then you have other players that are following in that probably aren't quite sure as to what's going on here themselves. Maybe even Raheem Sterling doesn't know what's going to happen. What I find very suspect about this is you have a linesman that's going to come into the picture now in a moment, and you also then have a referee that's going to come into the picture at the moment with a very good line of sight as to what's going on. Now, I think that's suspect within itself that they didn't stop the play there and then or bring it back, because there are in fact two balls on the pitch. What's even worse about this though is, because we have VAR now, and in my opinion, when I was looking at this incident and seeing this incident unfold, I said to myself, what's the point in VAR? VAR should have seen this incident occurring and should have pulled this back. I'm just some average guy that I was able to cop this and pick it up and say, okay, this is wrong, this should have been looked at. This has cost Denmark a massive chance within this tournament. I mean, all the talk that was around them today about how they had previously gotten to a Euros final and that they had gone on to win it, and it was remarkable fairy tale stuff. And I think that this was a fairy tale ending that could have been for Denmark if they had gotten to the final after what had happened earlier in the tournament with Christian Eriksen. So I think they were robbed by the officials on the pitch. I think they were robbed by the officials that were on the VAR team, and I think it's really very much so suspect stuff within itself. And why do I say that? Well, I say that because obviously when you're looking at these corporations, and I mean, even though I've tagged one of them within this, they have no interest in looking after these smaller teams. Not only that, but they probably don't have any interest in looking after a team that is not the home team. And as we seen this evening, this was the home team, and from a monetary and financial point of view, certainly an economics point of view from this game and what will be the final, they're probably looking at it and saying to themselves, well, the bigger team going through is good for us financially. It's the home side, they're going to generate a big crowd, they're going to spend a lot of money, and this is something that we're after seeing creeping into the game now yet again. And what I mean by that is, earlier in the tournament there was already another suspect incident, which was when France played Portugal, and towards the end of the game Bruno Fernandes came onto the pitch and actually, in my opinion, fouled the player within the box, and the check was over nearly immediately and they were like, no penalty. It was a penalty. Then what did that do? That effectively put Hungary out of the group then and ended their chances of going forward. Now, make of that what you will. That was just something that I seen myself. Going on this incident though here, and like I said, from the rules themselves, this should have been stopped, it should have been halted, and it should have retroactively been looked at them by the likes of VAR. They should have said, okay, dive aside, there's two footballs on the pitch, this has had an effect on the players, or it could have had a potential effect on the players given that it has interfered with play, because nobody's going to tell me that a defender isn't looking at both of those balls thinking to themselves which one is going to come across. Similarly as well too, also with the keeper. Nobody's going to tell me that a defender isn't keeping the eye on both of those, because if you're any sort of half decent defender, you are going to keep your eye on which one is coming. And that split second decision is something that could have made an effect on this guy that's running in here, or this guy coming along here, or this guy coming along here, that end up making the decisions in closing Raheem Sterling like the way they did. Going on to the incident itself though from Raheem Sterling, I don't think I've seen more of a blatant diver in this tournament, and I think it's appalling that the VAR assistants didn't get this one right, and that the referee didn't get it right. Just going on talking about the English media themselves, and this is why people don't like them, is this. Very simply, Alan Shearer not too long ago was crying about Ciro Immobile. Now, in my opinion, I actually think Alan Shearer was right there on that one. I think he was right to criticise Ciro Immobile. What did Ciro Immobile do? Well, in the previous game, what he did was he was lying on the ground and he was feigning injury, hoping to get some sort of penalty or some sort of caution given to the opposition. That didn't happen. The referee played on. Italy scored a goal. Up jumped Ciro Immobile and he ran after his team. Absolutely despicable. And it was something that Alan Shearer absolutely hammered him for. And rightly so. Because I think if you have the likes of VAR, if you have this ability to look at what players are doing and someone is cheating, the idea is for these guys here to be role models and for them to bring a very strong aspect and role model procedure to this game, so that young people that are watching this game get involved and they do the honourable thing. Instead, what happened there was nothing happened then with Ciro Immobile. So that sets a precedent that this sort of nonsense is okay. Flip over onto the other side of things though, when it's a player that's an English player, and we all know that Raheem Sterling is a soft touch and he looks to go down as much as possible. This is something that he does in the Premier League all of the time, and it would surprise me if match officials don't know about him already. They should do at this stage. But this is a guy that constantly goes down, feigning injury, trying to con players and trying to con referees then into getting penalties. And on this occasion, he has conned the referee and the VAR team. Now, I think that that is a very strange thing to happen. In my opinion, you won't see Alan Shearer coming out and criticising Raheem Sterling for this. Now, this is the same Raheem Sterling, along with Gareth Southgate as manager, that are always coming out and banging on about fairness and equal opportunity and the fact that they should have honour and the fact that they should stand up to this and they should stand up to that. Fraudulent stuff in my opinion, because if anything, Raheem Sterling should have jumped up off the ground tonight and went to the referee and said, look, that's not a penalty, sorry about that, I fell over or something happened with me and I just decided to throw myself to the ground. Should have done something fair. Something similar that I think that Thierry Henry should have done when he handled the ball against Ireland. But like I said, big teams in these competitions are a financial asset for these places, and that's why they get away with so much rather than the little guys. So what has happened on the basis of this? Well, Raheem Sterling has cheated his way to a final. He has cheated England to a final. I doubt that English fans will care about this. You will still hear them cry about the likes of the hand of God that Diego Maradona scored upon them at that time, and they'll forget all about this. Of course, it's great when they do it, but horrible when anybody else does it. And all we're looking for is a little bit of consistency. We're looking for less hypocrisy from the English media, and we're looking for them to call out stuff like this, because you can bet your bottom dollar that next season when Cristiano Ronaldo decides to dive, or when Messi decides to dive, or Mbappe decides to dive, or Pogba or anything like that, they'll be in there absolutely hammering these guys. But he left fellas like Raheem Sterling and the likes of him off the hook every single time they decide to do things like this, and I think that that is very unfair. Looking at this as a tournament and as a whole, I think the emotional aspect was definitely with Denmark, given what they faced as an adverse event in their first game. I think a lot of people, even myself included, were definitely hoping that Denmark would make their way to the final, and it just doesn't seem to be it. I hope that the Danish FA, Danish officials, whoever they may be, may complain to UEFA, may complain to FIFA. I don't think that anything's going to be done about it, because we all know money talks with this game and that there's nothing going to happen with this. But I do think that this is absolutely shameful within itself, that this incident occurred, and that there was 2 incidents that occurred now and they didn't catch them whatsoever. I think that says an awful lot. Looking at this game as a whole though, I don't know what the point of VAR is. If they can't pull on guys like this, for example, can pull an image like this and say he's definitely dived, he's definitely not being fouled, and they can't rewind it then and say, well, there's 2 balls on the pitch, this could have affected things. I don't know what it's all about. I don't know what the point of VAR is, because I think if this was the other way around and the Danish got a goal out or something like that, I highly doubt that they would have went on and were able to have a 2-1 win then over England on their home turf. I would doubt that that would have happened. Now, was it possible it could have happened? Absolutely. But I don't think that that would have happened. I think they would have pulled it back on. I mean, we've seen some very strange VAR decisions given this year alone, and I know it's a work in progress, but I mean, this is very obvious stuff that people can see, and it should be something that people cop onto and really understand then going forward. What we're all looking for here is fairness in the game, and this is something that they keep talking about when they're talking about the likes of VAR, that it's going to bring equal opportunity. It's going to mean that the little guys will still get the equal opportunities against the big guys. I mean, we've seen some absolute giants in the Champions League fall to the likes of VAR decisions, that they weren't getting as many decisions for them due to the fact that VAR was being implemented, and I think that that is a good thing. It means that it's on a fairer sort of playing field, in my opinion, and it means then that if some side has a big name, it means that they can be caught out then with a VAR decision, and I think rightly so. I think that it gives everybody a very equal opportunity then. But when you're seeing it displayed like this, and when you're seeing it so blatantly obvious that not only was there a dive, but there was 2 balls on the pitch which clearly state in the rules shouldn't happen, and the referee should interject at that point. Even if the referee has done the wrong thing at that point, the VAR team should be in his ear and saying, look, this is what's going on. Now, was it to do with something being afraid of an inhospitable sort of crowd that's there even this evening, because they are a very proud crowd and they enjoy themselves? Unfortunately, we have seen them boo 2 national anthems now, in that they've booed the Danish national anthem and they have booed the German national anthem. Of course, we won't hear anything about that in the media, but we'll hear about them when they decide to boo players taking the knee. Of course, Raheem and his manager Gareth Southgate would have forced people out the doors and into the media talking about that sort of stuff. They don't like being booed when they're bending the knee. But yet then it's okay for fans then to boo the national anthems of other countries. No issue whatsoever. Very strange there, I find. But this is the situation that we're in. We're after seeing a very, very big decision that was given to England tonight. Gifted them, really. I think had it went to penalties, in my opinion, Denmark stood a very big chance of getting through. I actually think they would have beaten England on penalties. I think it would have been something that could have been a fairy tale dream for Denmark, but now it's ended. I certainly do hope that some officials that are within the Danish camp stand up and speak out about this, and I hope that there is some sort of push from them to get something done about it, because I think that this is wrong. And I think anybody that's a fan of football, and that certainly is a fan of both countries or football in general, even if you're a neutral, you want to see the best team going through. You want to see the game being played fairly. And in my opinion, if you're not going to use VAR for the correct things, which is looking at decisions like this and calling them for what they are, you might as well scrap it. Because what's the point? If you wanted the big boys to go through, if you wanted the financial, economical asset to go through, scrap VAR altogether. It doesn't matter then. It's not being implemented for what you said it was going to be implemented for. So get rid of it if that's the case, because we all know how these things are going. If you are going to try and go through this fairness sort of shtick that you're looking to go with at the moment, keep VAR in, but certainly get the decisions right. And in my opinion, whoever's officiating within this game, whether they be an official for however many years, whoever was in the VAR team should, in my opinion, not officiate in a massive game like this ever again. That's how seriously I would take things like this, because there should be a zero tolerance for bad officials, and I think it's something that us as fans and as spectators have been dealing with for a number of years, which is bad officials. There are a number of them out there that are really very much so running the circuit over the last couple of years, and it's costing teams big tournaments, it's costing them big emotional payoffs, it's costing fans then as well also when decisions are wrong. Anyway, that's my opinion on the whole situation. It'd be an interesting final to see. I hope Italy win now, because I just hope now that they just do one over in England at this stage, because the media for England is always something that is very difficult to listen to. It's very sad, I know, for the English people that are out there. There are an awful lot of great English people that are out there that certainly want their team to do well, and they do not take part in what the media are doing. They do not take part in what some sections of the crowd to be up to. And, you know, you have to really feel for those people that get tired with that whole same brush. But in my opinion, I was with the Danes tonight personally. I would have liked to see them win. I think, again, going back, you're looking at the emotional payoff then with what happened to Christian Eriksen. I would have loved to see them get through, and I actually would have been with the Danes all the way. But then when you see the way Italy have played, they've played very well. I think there's a lot of passion there. I think they've been fair enough, I think, throughout this tournament, barring obviously the Ciro Immobile incident, which I do think, like Raheem Sterling here, I think they should be retroactively suspended for when they're feigning and trying to con the referee. Feigning injury and conning the referee, I think, is something that needs to be put out of the game very quickly. But I think now, as a result of this, I think it would be fair enough should Italy go on to win it, because I just don't really respect people cheating their way into a final and cheating their way to victory. I don't think that that's the way to go about it. It's something that's been pushed forward in the game, in the modern game. It's something that I don't really like. Sometimes, of course, when it's your team, you're saying to yourself, yeah, absolutely great, do whatever you can, dive, do this, whatever. But on the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at it, it needs to end. And I think this tournament has been a really good tournament in terms of players getting up and getting on with it. And I love when the game is like that. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. That I think that this tournament actually made me feel like maybe it's getting back to the old way of players getting up and getting on with it. It seemed like the referees had been getting those instructions earlier in the tournament, which was don't be blowing up the whistle for fellas that are lying on the ground rolling around. And it was working really well. But as it's progressed now, I don't know what's going on. Maybe the referees have been told, look, let these fellas get through or something like that. Might be some sort of stuff going on in the background. That's speculation anyway. Anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell up above for future uploads. Check out the links posted down in the description down below to support the channel. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about this incident. Do you think that the ball should have been stopped? And do you think that the game should have been stopped when the two balls were in the field of play? Do you think VAR should be scrapped? Or do you think VAR is necessary going forward? What do you think about that opinion of VAR should have been catching that there were two balls on the pitch? I think that that one is very much so an adequate idea in terms of that's what should have been stopping the game rather than the dive. They should have been rewinding it further back and said, well, look, there's two balls on the pitch. This caused a very big incident going forward and we're blown up from that. I don't think people could have argued with that one personally. And then you have the incident like this. What do you think about this diving that's going on in football? Do you think it's something that needs to be put out of the game? Do you think it's something that they need to be stamping out of the game? I certainly think that this is a better idea to be put out of the game, the likes of the diving, the feigning injury, the conning of referees, rather than this bending the knee stuff, which I think is totally hypocritical. I also think it's totally nonsensical and I don't think it has any place in football. I certainly think that these guys should be made to do something about this, whether it's a retrospective ban for Sterling himself, whether it is a replay of the game. I know that the game is on Sunday and that's going to be financially and economically not viable. I do understand that. But maybe if there's big pressure from Denmark and various other places, maybe other medias in different countries, perhaps even other FAs that talk to the rule makers themselves, or even, for example, to the company themselves, that they say, look, we're not going to take part in this tournament, put it back on them, because I think that that's the big thing. This can't go on, and to see the fact that someone's out there cheating their way into a final, it does leave a sour taste in the mouth for an awful lot of people that were really enjoying this game. And you know, as I said, both teams played great. Did you feel the same way? Did you feel the same way that both teams played well? What do you think would have been the outcome of a penalty shootout? Do you think it would have went the Danes' way, or do you think it would have went the way of the English? Let me know in the comments. Talk to you later. Good luck.